Hello there, my name is Brad Corlett. Thank you for joining us today. This is A Little Bit of Everything, my channel where I talk about a little bit of everything. So today I'm talking about a music visualizer app that I built on top of Blender. I used a geometry nodes visualizer and baked an audio sample into the geometry nodes to drive an animation. There's two different versions. One of them uses an app template and is a GUI. It's basically a music player with a geometry nodes visualizer synced to the music. The other version is that you can run it as a CLI and actually automate creating a video file from the geometry nodes by passing in whatever audio file you want to do. And so that's a good example of using Blender as a Python library. If you're familiar, they have the BPY Python library that basically compiles Blender into a Python library that you can install. And so if you're not familiar with using Blender as a Python module, you can come right over here and take a look at the Blender docs and read up on what that is. But it's basically Blender compiled into a Python library so that you can automate scripting and things like that and create other applications that you can't quite do within just doing an extension or an add-on. So here is the Git repository for the application that I've made. You can check the URL right here if you want to take a look at it. And so here's the README file. You can take a look at the source code, copy it, use it, download it, whatever you want. If you go into the dist, we have here a zip file. You can just simply download this zip file and install it as an app template and basically turn your Blender into a music visualizer, into a music player with a geometry nodes visualizer. So let's first demo using the app template version. So if you come over here to your Blender, if you're not familiar with installing an app template, you come right up here to this Blender logo and you go install app template. And so then you will navigate to that zip file that you just downloaded and you will select that. I've already installed it, so I'm not going to do that. I will cancel out of here. So then after you install it, then the next thing that you go to is File, New, and then you go down here to BL Music Player App. You open that, and then we can see our music visualizer right here. So very simple, basically a media player here. And then this part over here is our visualizer. So if we click on any of these, it will immediately bake the audio into, bake the samples into a variable to drive the animation. And so that's the gist of it. So right now the app, I do want to say, is in beta. It's not going to work perfectly and it's missing a lot of features. It's mostly just kind of a proof of concept so that we can demonstrate some different concepts. The app templates are relatively new, as well as the Blender Python module. So then let's take a look at the source code and figure out what else we can do with this. We're looking at the README here. So you've got simple instructions if you want to be able to set it up locally and test it. So this is using another library I did another video on called Blender Environment, which is another thing I've built to make it easier to develop Blender Python applications. Check out that video if you want. I'm not going to go over it right now. But it's basically like virtual environment, but for Blender. So what we're going to do now, I've already run all of this. So I'm just going to copy this line right here and run it. And then what you'll see is, so it basically just opens this up. This is essentially like a development environment for Blender, if you will. Even though it just looks like your regular Blender, it looks like the thing that I just played, of course. But so it's basically the same as the other app, but it's actually running right from the source code right here in our VS Code. So it makes for quick testing and iteration. All of the source code that you need is right over here in the source, as you would expect. So the BL Music Player app folder here has all of the app template stuff. There's a few Python modules here. The actual music files that I'm storing are right here. You can of course navigate to any folder on your hard drive because it uses the Blender file browser. You don't have to use these. These are just the ones that I packaged with it so that there would be something to use right out of the box. Also, while we're talking about that, I do want to mention I have a credit spot here where I give credit. So these are Creative Commons licensed music files. And then also I made the music visualizer from a tutorial here. So you can take a look at this link right here in the README file if you want to make that tutorial yourself. And then let me go ahead and show you the final thing that we can do here. So if you wanted to automate and make yourself a video file, so I'm just going to run this command here. So you can basically just supply into this audio option, you can supply any audio file that you want, and then you make your output right there. Let's delete this output here. Okay, cool. And then we're gonna go. Oh, right. So make sure that you have your virtual environment. If I could type, make sure you're in that, and then go. And so now it will take a minute to render. I'm going to let this run and return to you in a moment. And so here's our final output file, rendered through the command line using geometry nodes synced to a short little audio sample file. So again, thank you for making it to the end of this video. The point today was not to show a polished, completed app, but just a proof of concept that demos two different things. One is using Blender as a Python module, and the other is an app template. And it's also a demo of being able to share source code between two of those different projects, because they both use some of the same logic, but again, you don't want to, duplicate all of your code. So you can take a look at this project file and how I've structured it here if you want to see how you would do that yourself. Again, so we start with this BLENV file. Again, check out my other video on the Blender environment, which makes it easy to develop your application. So the CLI file here is the entry point for the Blender's Python module code. And then it references some of the code right here in the BL Music Player app. And this has the startup blend file, and it has which contains your geometry nodes, the visualizer for that, and everything that you need for the app template is within this folder. So I hope you got something out of this video. Take a look at the source code if you want to know more. Again, it's free, open licensed, so take this and do what you want with it.